you know if that's happening in Africa, where the best runners are coming from? Because that's probably my take, is that I don't think that happens at an elite level, but we're sort of making out.
Do you think people are getting, like, people are getting criticised as coaches for not doing that?
I think...
And that's where you're then seeing that trend on social media. It's like getting attacked.
Not so much attacked. I just feel like sometimes females are almost made to feel like a weaker athlete if, like, you can't handle that, or you need to train like this during this time because you're not in the right hormonal cycle to do your training or whatnot. I just don't know if that happens at an elite level.
Yeah. Not deep here, Moose.
I'm interested in an actual elite female's response to that who has coached before.
Yeah, I think it can, like when you look at, say, sauna training and preparing for heat, hormones can play a major role, and I think you can't apply the same heat training protocol to a female as you can a male. So people who are in touch with exercise physiologists will probably be able to learn what's appropriate for them. As an elite female, I have people around me who get really impacted by their hormonal cycle, and they do have to tweak their training on the day. Fortunately, I haven't noticed too many fluctuations in how I feel, so I don't personally manipulate my training accordingly. But if you're an athlete who feels really sluggish or crampy during that time, I think it's really important to respect that. And I know my coach does, and I just sort of assume other coaches out there would too, but I'm not actually sure. I think Adam is a coach who really does individualise our training programs, and it helps because he's out there with us on session day, and not everyone has that opportunity. For me as a coach, it was online, and so I'd have to trust that the athlete can make those calls some days.
Yeah.
Last one for me, Jess. Lululemon kit at the moment. What are you loving? What are you recommending?
Well, for travel and for just everyday activities, I love the soft stream pants and the Align. So these are the soft stream ribbed pants right now. The Nulu fabric is really soft in winter. The Align fabric, everyone, like buttery's kind of the word. It is the softest, dreamiest fabric you'll wear. For running, fast and free shorts and tights, they have the pockets. You can't feel them when you're running. They're not distracting at all. They're just supportive and feel great. So in the winter, I've been wearing the Swiftly Tech tops as well a lot, often with a jacket over top, the gloves, sometimes the arm warmers.
Yeah, have you been doing workouts in the long tights I saw your Instagram a couple of weeks ago, you did like a big long run, and you do it in tights the whole way to try to generate the extra heat?
Yeah, I have. So for some previous championships, I have relied on that, just rugging up for runs. Yeah. But this time around, I've been trying to do that for some sessions, but also then jumping in the heat and humidity chamber and doing some sauna sessions as well.
Yeah. Any questions? Last one's Croaks from
Just
you.
Last one. Given it's a tricky marathon course, it's very different to what we're used to seeing. How do you think the race will play out?
It's a really interesting one. We have the benefit of being able to watch the men run on Saturday, and we're on the Sunday, so it'll be really interesting to talk to them. And I think what the men do, the women could then respond to that and do something quite different the next day. There's every chance it could be raining as well and slippery. My thoughts are that the pace will be hot still early on because it's going to be flat and along the river. And those hills are going to sort some people out. But I really do think it's the downhill that's going to shock people, and then trying to run hard off that downhill. So you get to the bottom of the hill at around 35 Ks, which is about when the marathon starts. So I know Adam in my plan has been quite focused on, we've been doing this long, steady uphill, long, steady downhill, and he's started to get me to run at marathon pace down the hill and then continue off that, just to prepare my legs to be a bit beaten up, and then hitting marathon pace. Whether it works, we'll see on the day, but I think that downhill is going to be quite a challenge.
Have you done a bit in the gym around sort of quad strengthening, changing how you work out?
I'd like to have done more. I've been doing a lot of Pilates, and because it's been quite a time-intensive training block with just adding in the sauna sessions and the travel out to do the heat training sessions. I probably would like to have done a little bit more in the way of weighted squats and that sort of thing. I've still got 5 weeks until the race, and I'm planning over the next 2 weeks to get in the gym and just do a little bit more strength work. But I'm also going to be in the mountains doing more hilly running. So again, I just have to listen to my body. You don't want to go into a big St. Moritz hilly run with DOMs in the quads. And obviously I have to respect the race yesterday as well.
Hey Moose, this time last year, Jess filled in for Croaks and we discussed our bet that we had. You owe me a slab because I said Jess would make the Olympic team. Do you want to double or nothing? I'm giving you the opportunity here. Double or nothing. Jess is the highest Australian finisher at the Olympics. 66% chance, 33%
This could give me some extra motivational fuel out there.
She helped me in the last 12 months. Do you want to take it? She sounds
I'm
fit.
taking it.
You're taking it?
I'm taking. She's got the Australian record holder she got to beat.
I'm also going to say I ran past
Do you watch the
Moose
last 5K
today.
Com Games?
I ran past you this morning and I thought no one could be more in the middle of the road than you were without your bib.
Without a bib.
There was no footpath.
I was
running
off
by.
the course. I was off the course. Thanks for backing me up there. I found it pretty odd that you and Andy were out there giving like a lot of Jess and Andy time. Sunday morning they could have gone anywhere.
Andy
but
was getting a lot of shouts from people. Congratulations. He was a king this morning, so I don't blame him for wanting to.
Yeah, the guy next to me said, "Oh, how did Andy go yesterday?" I'm like, you know who was next to him?
Yeah. Jess, thanks for your time. Safe travels over to Europe tonight. All the best. I think 31 days maybe. Olympic marathon, somewhere like that?
Yeah,
maybe?
I'm not sure. I'm trying not to think too much about it. Just get through these next few weeks of training and, actually get through the travel. I'm pretty nervous about this flight with a 9-month-old and a 4-year-old.
You're in business?
No.
Oh, come on, Lululemon. Just grab the credit card and upgrade at the gate.
That'd be such a stitch up to my husband who'd be back with the 2 kids. No. Thanks everyone for coming today and enjoy the rest of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jess Stenson.
Yes.
We are going to whip through this news, fellas, and then we've got our next guest all ready to go. I'm going to start with the Gold Coast. So the half marathon, the first result we saw on the Saturday morning. This was windier, I feel. I don't know. I wasn't out in course. I was watching it on the stream, but it looked rougher weather than what we experienced out there today, Croaks. Andy Buchanan got the win, 62.25. That was a PB from him. Looked in trouble at 18K too. Found something in that last 3K to fight back and get the win. Isaac Hayne, probably run of the day, even though he didn't win, I'm calling it. Got in brackets here, the Smiling Assassin. He looked like he was having so much fun. First ever half marathon. Went to the front, maybe around 12, 13K. Just put the foot down. Broke a very big lead pack up. He was very, very strong to finish second in 62.27.
State record too, I believe.
Yeah, okay. Yep, so that's pretty good. Knocking that over in your debut. And Shanzuki Shikama was third, the Japanese runner, in 62.28. So Isaac just got him in a bit of a sprint finish there, but not enough of a sprint finish to be able to close down Andy. Leanne Pompiani, very impressive as well. Hasn't had a fantastic season to date in 2024. She was 69.20, which, what are we giving it? Like, has it got to be worth 30 seconds? Like, that's a sub-69 race on a good day.
I don't think she ran that much faster last year.
Well, she won it before, hasn't she? Yeah,
no, she won...
last year, was it? Or the year before?
Oh, I don't think she won.
No, Kyra D'Amato won last year, but she was maybe second.
First Australian.
It's about 4 seconds off a PB or something like that.
Yeah, and that was her PB last
stuff,
year.
Didn't she?
She did.
Yeah, some good people. Yeah. So 69.20 for her. Jess Stenson, obviously 70.08. The clock when she crossed the line did say 69 something, but I'm not sure what happened there. And Sarah Hall from America, 70.54. A long way to travel for Sarah to not be kind of in the race. Not sure what her fitness is like, but surely she'd be a bit disappointed with that one. Was going to come this afternoon as well, fellas, but she flew out this morning. Big prediction here, Isaac Hayne, when he goes to the marathon. Might still be 4 or 5 years away. Adam Diddick as coach. Good success as a coach of marathoners. I'll collect that receipt in about 5 years, I reckon.
And I'll go Leanne Pompiani. When she steps up to the marathon, she's going to run well.
What about Croaks yesterday? Moose tells me, he goes, I'm going to become her trainer partner. Hopefully she takes me on like training trips. I'll pace her during the races. He's got this contingency plan all worked out in his head.
Imagine how much he would cook her in 1 week.
I would enjoy helping Leanne out in her marathon prep, given she's from Canberra.
Yeah, okay. Timothy Cadham got the move on. He got the win in 2:08.52 in the men's. This was a sprint finish as well. Tillahan was second in 2:08.58, and Koga he was from Japan, third place in 2:09.22. So the Gold Coast continues to deliver sub 2:10 marathoners. Our girl Croaks, Yuki Nakamura, she won in 2:24.22, which was a 21-second course record. I did watch the finish on the live stream. The boys on the live stream had a different clock. So they're like, she's missed the course record. Lindsay Flanagan can sleep well tonight. She gets to hold it for another year. And then they get into the straight and she's like, well under the course record. So I'm not sure how they stuffed that up. So huge run from her. Beat the two Kenyans there as well. Shilala, she was 2:25.25. And Jep Kosho, who was the more aggressive of the two Kenyans when she wanted the 40k deal. She was third, the 2:21 marathoner in 2:26.17. Australian men, Liam Bouden on debut. We spoke about this last week, 2:13.56. Was pretty cooked the last 5 or 6k. Went out with the leaders, but he held on for a very impressive debut. Two very close men to the show. Tom DeCano was second in 2:14. Actually his second fastest marathon of his career. So considering when you look at his Strava, he didn't do much in the last 6 or 7 weeks. And Reece Edwards, 2:15. He'll be recapping all of that on Road to Gold Coast this week. Give me some thoughts there, boys, about the Australian men before I move on to the 10K.
Impressive from Liam. Like, if you asked me yesterday who was going to be our top Aussie, I wouldn't have picked Liam. It would have been probably Tommy or Reece. So,
But Crogs, imagine how much he could have improved on that if he didn't go out at 2:6 pace. Like, he was in that front group at 8k, which means that he was going through in 2:6 pace, because I believe that's what it was paced at. So you just put him in the next group, have him run with Tommy or Reece, then I think he's going to come home a lot stronger, and I reckon you'd be closer towards the 2:10 mark there.
Okay, that's good for the future as well. 10K. Haftu Strintos. He was on the show a few weeks ago saying how this would be his road running debut. He ran 28.53. Jack Bruce was second, 29.33. 40 seconds over 10k. That's a big win. Dale Carroll, 29.48. He runs for Collingwood down in Victoria. Caitlin Adams won. ASICS would be happy with that. ASICS event, 33.23. Amy Robertson second, 33.43. She was stoked with this. I saw her in the elite call room thing afterwards. She wasn't even meant to be in there. She wasn't an elite athlete, I don't think. And then she got the old lanyard that they give you at the finish line. And then she got let into the elite athlete. And she was stoked there was gluten-free banana bread in there. I'm like, mate, you're about to win prize money. Like, you'll get invited to these things in the future. So she was over the moon. And then Kate Spencer was third in 33.46. Moose, quick question for you. A lot of people ran Gold Coast today. A lot of people would have had good days. Some people would have had poor days. What's your advice to the people who had poor days today? What can they take out of it?
Well, without the bad days, you just don't appreciate the good days ever. If you were going to run well every single time you ran, it would be boring. It would be meaningless if you did have a really good day. So I think you've got to take that feeling that you had in that last sort of 10% of the race, 20% of the race, you know, the feels that you get. You go, why am I doing this? This is shit. I'm never going to come back unfit like this again, or I'm never going to make the same mistakes. That feeling, bottle it up, and that's what gets you out the door for the next 6 months, training for your next marathon. And that on the morning of the next marathon, you sort of open the bottle and go, all right, this is like we reset now, and it's time for a good day.
Next bit of news, boys. Aussie selection. Nothing from the authorities at Athletics Victoria yet, but Zach Gates, he's come out. He's the Wide World of Sport journalist. And I like that we've got a mainstream journalist now giving, although he's leaking a lot of this stuff before it comes from Athletics Australia. We'll talk about that in a second as well.
He's not leaking it. He's reporting it. Journalists don't leak stuff.
No,
stuff gets leaked to him.
Yeah.
He's not in a position where he can leak stuff because he's not sitting there in a room.
Sorry, you knew what I meant.
No, I think it's an important difference.
Yeah.
Because some people might think that leaking things
he publishes details that get leaked to him. Yep. So the news here was that the men's 1500 metre team will be Adam Spencer, Ollie Hoare and Stewie McSwain, which leaves off the young prodigy Cam Myers. Crowd's not happy.
Okay, so you've got a selection panel here that's basically been put in front of them. The old bull or the young...
And Stewie. You think it's only out of... Those two are the only two for that third spot, you think?
I think so. After Spencer won that national title, I know it wasn't a lock, but I think I think he kind of earned the spot coming back and,
I agree.
and winning that race.
He's also Gregs?
Yeah, I think if you win it's not a trial, but if you win nationals and you've got the time, like I would have been happy for him to have been selected after nationals.
And beats them all on a head-to-head basis,
Ollie Hoare's obviously been showing probably greater form than Stewie as well.
Com Games champ.
Yeah. So then you have Stewie, who is the last 6 years, he's been our best male distance runner. He still competes in nearly every Diamond League out there. He's probably, we used to probably call it that he was compete for a podium at most of those Diamond Leagues, whereas now we're not quite calling it like that.
Finalist at Tokyo. Was he 8th across the,
Yeah, and
we
was
were
a
talking
chance.
maybe he could snag
was a medal chance at Tokyo.
You could have got both of them there though. Like Stewie just focuses on the 5K because it's very hard to double up at an Olympics unless you are at the top echelon. We're talking world record holders.
So we don't know that Stewie's not.
Well, yeah.
He maybe said, hey, I just want to do the 1500.
Yeah, but he could do the 5, and I feel like as Stewie gets older, he's going to get better at the 5, and then you can blood Cam Myers because you look at he's on the same trajectory as Ingebrigtsen, and he was running at these major championships from the age of 17, and it only took him 1 or 2 years of major championships to then be winning gold at the Olympics. So he sort of needs that exposure, but I can also see why the selectors chose Stewie over Cam because Cam, I don't think, has ever beaten Stewie. He's run faster, so how can you pick Cam over Stewie? So I see it. I see why they've gone that way, but it'd be nice to maybe Stewie just say, yeah, I'll just run the 5 and let Cam have a run.
It's also not Stewie's responsibility, though, to be blooding the future of Australian distance runners.
No, it's not.
I'm with you, though. I'm keep everyone happy boat. Let's give Stewie the 5. Let's give Cam the 15. What a valuable experience it would have been, and then he medals.
In terms of this news being broken by the journalists as opposed to the National Federation, I do not like that. I know that Athletics Australia, they can't just name their Olympic team. They have to send it through to the AOC to be ticked off, and that takes time. But I feel like it would be better for AA to contact the IOC saying, this is who we want to select. IOC say, yep, we'll sign off on that. They then contact the athletes, and it gets announced right then. I know that they have appeals, but all of the appeals come out in the media anyway. So it's this is the team, and then if an appeal comes, then the media can then comment on, yeah, this is the team, but there's been an appeal by this person, and we'll just wait and see what happens. Yeah. I don't know. This news should come from the governing body, I feel, not the newspapers.
Yeah, however, I don't blame the newspaper for reporting on it.
It's his job.
Yeah, that's exactly his job, and it does create good exposure for the sport. We get to learn about it as athletics fans. We get to see this in the media. We're seeing it in the major newspapers. A major sports journalist now is focusing on it in his reporting, and that's only good for the sport. And I did see a comment out there by one of the coaches of a lot
Justin
of our
Rinaldi,
good runners.
Pete Bowles' coach.
Yeah, he tweeted saying you should consider the athletes' feelings before you do a report on this, and I disagree with that. I think that it's not up to the journalist to consider someone's feelings when they're reporting actual news on the sport, which is what he had at the time.
Yeah, and we can't whinge that athletics doesn't get mainstream media, and then the minute that we get mainstream media, just be like, oh no, let's think about people's feelings and stuff. Every other sport. Look at my boy, Harley Reid, not Chuka, 10 minutes out of a Chuka guy.
Yeah.
He's on the back page of the Western Australian paper every week, and he's 19.
It's exactly what I was
80.
talking about it when mentioning that athletes need to be thicker skinned. We need to deal with that sort of some occasionally negative press. We need to reporting on criticisms on our performances, and by not reporting because it might upset somebody it's not what our sport needs.
Last minute news, Croaks. UK selection drama as well.
Yeah, so we spoke about the UK trials last week. And so Jake Whiteman had a sore calf, so he didn't compete at the trials, but he has run the standard in the 800. UK decided to select Jake in the 800, despite not running the trials. And so that means Elliot Giles, who also has the time, and he did run the trials but fell, he won't be running at the Olympics. Eilish McColgan, she's been added in the 10,000 metres despite only recently coming back from a long injury layoff. Now, where the controversy comes is, and this is very much what AA used to do, so Athletics Australia now, basically anybody that qualifies for the Olympics, either through the time or is in a quota spot, they will pretty much send. What the UK have done is, if you make the World Athletics Standards, you're on the team, but being in the quota is not enough by itself. They've got a second standard. So, for example, in the men's steeple, the World Athletics Standard's 8:15. UK have brought in an 8:18.5, and an athlete, Phil Norman, missed that standard by 0.015. So around 8:18.65, which is faster than what Clarkey and Bucks have both run, but he'll be left home, even though he's inside the quota. So that's the controversy around the UK selection policy at the moment. And AA was a bit like that back in the day, not sending full teams.
It used to be like medal potential, wasn't it? Like, yeah, you've hit the qualifier, but if we don't think you can win a medal, you're not going. New Zealand were pretty hard too, weren't they?
No, the actual, I think it's the UK head of athletics, or I forget his title, but he actually had some really, I thought, pretty nasty quotes about it. Nasty is probably not the right word, but he basically said, someone who's showing up and not getting through a heat at the Olympics does not inspire the next generation of runner. And so we should be dedicating their resources, the money, the facility, and the focus onto the athletes, our high-class athletes who will make finals and compete for medals. The also-rans, those that might make up the rest of the field, that we don't want them to be UK runners because they're going to take away the focus from those high-achieving athletes. And look, that is one of the most crazy philosophies that I've ever heard in sport. It just stops anyone who might not think that they'll make the very top level from pursuing that sport. You're gonna have athletes, let's say Andy Buchanan, right, in this position. He's a 210 guy. He
208 guy.
Oh, 208 guy now, actually.
Yeah.
So, bad example, Andy Buchanan. Let's say Liam Buden. 213 guy now. He goes, oh, well, maybe I could just make, if there's selections, let's say it's 210. I could probably keep going for that. I can dedicate another few years. I can change a few things, and it'll be all worthwhile if I get a chance to make the team. But if it's AA go, no, you're only making the team if the actual qualifying time's 2.6, and you're going to be in the top 10 is the only way. He won't want to continue with that. He might go to triathlon. He'll just give up, but go chase a career somewhere else. It's really, it's kind of deflating. I think there'd be a lot of UK athletes really deflated and left wondering